Today, we need to talk about a topic that has made a lot of people nervous over the last few days. There's a new bill introduced in Congress that has sparked huge conversations online about dual citizenship, passports, and whether Americans could actually be forced to choose between their citizenships. So many people have been messaging and asking if the United States is ending dual citizenship entirely, or if Americans will be required to give up any foreign citizenships they already hold. So, in this video, I want to break the whole thing down in the simplest way possible, explain what this bill says, what it could mean, and why a lot of experts are already raising serious legal concerns about it. Before we get into the details, welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy these updates, make sure to like this video and subscribe because it really helps. Now, let's talk about what exactly is going on. A senator from Ohio has introduced something called the Exclusive Citizenship Act of 2025. The title alone is enough to make anyone with dual citizenship pause. The bill basically creates an ultimatum for any American who holds citizenship in another country. It says that if a U.S. citizen has any foreign citizenships at all, whether it's 1, 2, or more, they would be given 1 year to give up the foreign citizenship by sending a written notice to the U.S. Secretary of State. And if someone doesn't want to give up the foreign citizenship, the bill says they would instead need to renounce their U.S. citizenship through a process handled by the Department of Homeland Security. The most shocking part is what happens if someone does nothing. According to the bill, if a person doesn't give up their foreign citizenship or doesn't renounce their U.S. citizenship within that 1-year deadline, they would automatically lose their U.S. citizenship. It would be treated as if they voluntarily gave it up, even if they did absolutely nothing. On top of that, the bill says that anyone who becomes a citizen of another country in the future would automatically lose their U.S. citizenship the moment the new citizenship is granted. The reason this has created so much fear is that the United States is a country built on immigration. Millions of Americans hold dual citizenship for many reasons, because they were born in another country, because their parents were from another country, or because some countries automatically treat children of their citizens as citizens, even if the child was never physically there. So people are worried that this law could impact huge portions of the population. But before anyone panics, there are some big practical issues and some major legal problems with this bill that we need to talk about. One of the first issues is something most people don't even think about. Not every country in the world allows its citizens to give up their citizenship. Some countries simply don't permit renunciation. Others make it extremely difficult and only allow it under very specific circumstances. So if someone is a citizen of a country that doesn't let them give it up, how would they comply with this law? They literally can't. A letter to the U.S. Secretary of State doesn't magically erase someone's citizenship in another country. Only that foreign country has the authority to decide whether a person can stop being a citizen. Many countries also require in-person appointments, fees, background checks, and lengthy approval periods. This bill suggests renouncing foreign citizenship with a simple letter, which simply isn't how international law works. There's also a problem on the U.S. side. The bill says that renouncing U.S. citizenship would be handled by the Department of Homeland Security. But right now, renunciation is only done through the Department of State, usually at embassies or consulates outside of the United States. If millions of people suddenly needed to renounce their citizenship within 1 year, the entire system would be overwhelmed. New procedures would need to be invented, the workload would be massive, and the current system wasn't designed for anything close to that scale. Then there's the tax issue, which almost no one talks about but could be huge. When someone gives up U.S. citizenship, the IRS may treat them as having sold all their assets on the day they exit the country. That's known as an exit tax. It applies in only certain situations, but if millions of people suddenly lost or surrendered their citizenship, there could be an enormous number of exit tax cases. The IRS would be flooded, and people who didn't even intend to give up their citizenship could suddenly face stressful financial complications. And here's something almost ironic. If this bill became law, it would actually impact the president's own family. The First Lady and the president's son are dual citizens. That means they would also have to give up their foreign citizenship if this bill passed. It's one of the unusual side effects that shows how far-reaching this kind of law would be. But the biggest issue isn't practical, it's constitutional. The Supreme Court ruled in a major case that Congress cannot take U.S. citizenship away from someone unless that person voluntarily chooses to give it up. Citizenship is protected under the Constitution. The bill tries to get around this by saying that if someone does nothing within a year, that counts as a voluntary act. But it's very unlikely that courts would agree that silence equals consent when something as serious as citizenship is at stake. Many lawyers already believe that the bill, if passed, would be struck down as unconstitutional. So where does all this leave us? Based on everything we know right now, it is extremely unlikely that this bill will become law in its current form. There are too many legal problems, too many practical problems, and too many constitutional problems. There's also very little indication that Congress as a whole supports this idea. Bills are introduced every day, and only a tiny fraction ever move forward. However, the fact that this bill exists at all does raise a real concern. It shows that some lawmakers do not fully understand how citizenship works, how people become dual citizens, and how international law operates. Many people become dual citizens automatically without ever making a choice. Children can inherit citizenship through parents or birthplaces, and they shouldn't be punished for something they didn't choose. That's why proposals like this worry a lot of people, not because they're likely to become law, but because they could be the start of a trend towards stricter rules or misunderstandings that make life harder for regular Americans. For now, though, if you're a dual citizen, this bill is not something you need to panic about. It's not law, it has a long way to go, and the chances of it becoming a real rule are very small. But it's still important to stay informed, ask questions, and pay attention to what's happening. If you have experiences or thoughts about dual citizenship, drop them in the comments. I always read them and try my best to answer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.